Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Well, you guys have waited long enough, and today I am going to share with you what the surprise was. Before we get into that, a couple links. As you know, I rely on my Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch to help this channel to continue to grow and go. All of those links are in the description below. I also have a second channel for creepypasta, fan fiction, and scary voice acting. Stories that, well, they don't really fit on this channel. Now, if that's anything that you're into, follow that link and give those stories a listen. You may just like what you hear. Now I've taken enough of your time and you've waited long enough. Let's get on with today's upload. Shall we? All right, everybody. A couple of weeks ago, I made an announcement. And during the announcement, there was a lot of speculation because I made the announcement attached to the Alaskan hunt by Victor. And I have Victor right here. Victor, how are you?
I'm doing well. How is everybody out there?
We are good. For everybody, I have known that he's been alive a couple of months. I'm sure there's a lot of questions, so we're going to try to answer as many as Victor can. But the main one I know people are going to ask is, I thought you were dead. What happened? Is that something that you can kind of fill in the blank as best as you can?
I'll say that I had to go dark and go into hiding. And for a time, I had to stay that way. What y'all heard about the attack on me was true. They ran me down. The two men that I killed was part of a co-op that was trying to get to me. But the Marines that was with them shouldn't have turned what they called the wolves loose. But they did anyway. And they tore me up really bad. And I had to be put in several different hospitals over a course of a couple of months for rehab and to get better and even strong enough where I could move on my own. And that's basically all I can tell you about what happened.
Okay. Now, another question I know is, was that our country that was after you?
No, it was not our country that was after me.
Okay. And I know...
But it was... my country was slaying along, trying to seemingly make it appear that way in one aspect, but there was another country that was really in the picture.
All right. So that's about as much as I know that you can go into on that. Another question is the breeding program. A lot of people during that whole time was like, if Victor's gone, is Sebastian gone? Is the Raphael gone? What's going on with the breeding program?
The breeding program is shut down completely. Sebastian wouldn't have understood me being gone over 10 or 15 days in one period of time. So I made the decision for people's safety for him to be euthanized. Humane. I had it worse than anybody. Everything was euthanized in the breeding program. Sebastian couldn't have made it in the wild if he tried. He had told me that personally. He said that he knows he's getting to it with his age and everything. And I'm just not going to go into it any further about Sebastian.
Absolutely. I understand, and I'm sure everyone else does too. So pretty much your main job now is to hunt down Dogman. Is that correct?
At this time it is. We're calling them in and euthanizing them. And we're also going out to trouble spots still and hunting them down by the way. But agents in the fields. We just got back from New York tonight. Those up there. That was a werewolf. And we had a rookie get him. So that was good for the rookie. And we're moving on with it. We've got other irons in the fire, so we've got work. And at some point the breeding program might come back up, but it won't be with the Dogman.
Okay. Is that because they are just so uncontrollable, or just is there another reason to that?
Because of their hacking up is one thing. We don't see it nowhere with the werewolves. And in the past 2 years, the packing up of the Dogman has got to a point to where we cannot keep them in small enough numbers to manage it. Okay. So we're calling in these packed up numbered areas. We're just calling them in now in groups when we see them packed like that, because we've got their ID numbers and we're just calling them in all at once. So far, knock on wood, every one of them's responded. So that part of the system has worked 100% today.
All right. Now, that could explain what's been going on. I've got a lot of subscribers in Virginia, and a lot of subscribers have commented that, actually one I did an interview with, he was talking about how he's been noticing that even bears are coming down from the mountains now. Is that kind of what's been going on? They're kind of moving towards where they're getting called in.
You broke up on me for some reason.
All right. I have a subscriber that shared, he lives in Virginia, and he said that he's noticed that normally when bears are in the area, a lot of small animals and deer will come off the mountain. He's noticed that now the small animals, along with deer and the bear, are coming off the mountain. And I've noticed a lot of migration towards Virginia. Is that explaining a lot right there, that they're coming towards you to?
Yes, that could be they could be being pushed. Absolutely.
Okay.
As many as we're calling in right now. We started out 10, 15, 20, but I've upped it to 150 to 200 a month right now.
Okay.
We're trying to, there's a lot of them out there. And I've got a long way to go to get it clean. And I'm going to keep upping it through the end of this year. And at the end of this year, I'm going to really up the game. Starting in January next year, I'm going to start calling in thousands a month to try to get it really cut down before I go out in 2 years. And I want to leave it as cleaned up as I can get it.
All right. Now, another thing is that people, I don't know. Let's let everybody know now that during all of this, you have now acquired a rank of lieutenant general. Is that rank and that gain? Because I mean, you've went really kind of in a fast pace from star to star right there. Was that because this program kind of needed the leadership, and you showed what you had? I mean, is that what happened?
I think the main reason they gave me the 3rd star was because of what I underwent. You know, the world shouldn't have been sent down on me like that. And then all the time in the hospitals and getting well and all the treatment and having to deal with everything that away, and just having to deal with the daily grind of getting back into shape and everything. And I think they honestly just felt bad about it. And they didn't have, I'm so high up that they didn't have no other way to award me with anything other than giving me a star that could, do anything. And that only thing that really does for me in 2 years after I get out, the money it gives me at the end of, retirement pension.
Right. So I know that during this whole thing, I've known he's been alive for about 3 months, I'll say. I've probably talked to you 4 times, and we never really actually sat down and figured out how we were going to do the first upload of bringing you back and letting people know what happened. I know that people absolutely loved just hearing you talk about precautionary measures, safety measures, what they can do. But people really enjoyed you and your encounters, the details of these encounters. not even encounters, because they're more of an experience. It's your job to encounter these things. So I think people just really enjoyed and connected with you that way. I know that you have probably 1,000,001 stories to share. Is there any story that you can share tonight with us that you're able to?
Yeah, I've got a few.
I know that me and you talked about something that you were planning kind of doing. I know that we're not going to do it tonight, but I know there was an encounter that you were talking to me about doing a show on, the Florida one. I'm really looking forward to that. But whatever you can share with everybody, I mean, this is your welcome home. And I've got to say, through the last 6 months, I've gotten emails, what's going on with him, comments, messages through my channel on Facebook. And, you know, I'm sure everyone's going to be excited to hear just you talk. So if whatever you can share tonight, you feel free and share away. I mean, the campfire's lit for you right now, my friend.
Well, we may not get through this one, but I'm going to do the Florida one if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
First off, I want to apologize to everybody for what I had to do. That's a bad way to leave people, but it's what had to be done. And I do apologize to everyone. I'm going to do one in a couple of weeks of my dad's. We had talked about that with him. But this one comes out of the Mallory Swamp wildlife area in Florida. Happened in January. It actually happened on January the 3rd. When I got there, we didn't get there till the 5th. But it happened on the 3rd, and we flew into Branford, Florida. That's where we flew into. But it wasn't actually in Branford. It's about an hour's drive from there to the west in the Mallory Swamp. There was 3 groups of people at this. It wasn't actually a campground. If you go to the place, it was you go to a main road and you turn down a gas pipe road where they ran a gas pipe down through there, and it gets to the end where our gas return is, and it's got a big turnaround. And the 3 groups of people was in there camping. And people that was there was Bob and Mag Hammond. They was age 67 to 66. And their daughter, Kim, and Mike Taylor, age 31, Kim, and Mike was 33. And there was a set of 3 brothers, Henry, Eugene, and Frank Seisman. They all got pulled back in there, and the brothers had arrived first, and they just found this place on by chance and didn't know anybody else was coming. And here comes Bob and Mag. They come pulling in with a big camper trailer, so it was a pretty good road that you could get into to get back in there. And by the end of the day, Bob and Mag came in. They told them that they'd been coming back here for about 10 years, and that Kim and Mike would be joining them, and that, that they'd been staying there for about 4 years, and everybody just came here for a family thing to keep up with and all. And so the brothers was talking to them on the first night, about the first night they'd been there, and said that they had heard some strange noises outside, heard breathing on that first night. And on the second night, there wasn't nothing. Now everything is under it. Bob and Mag, none of them heard anything. Then on the third evening, everybody was there by then, you know. It was a large clearing. They was all there meeting and greeting, talking, having a good time. And everybody was just having fun, talking, getting ready for the 31st, you know. And said that everybody'd be there around the fire, getting ready to shoot off some fireworks. And the boys broke out guitars and was playing music. And everything was carrying on. And they had set up a tent on the 30th for Mike and Kim. Well, when they woke up on the 31st, before Mike and Kim got there, the tent was about 75 yards away, and it was shredded, torn all to pieces. Didn't know what had happened to it. And everybody was alarmed, carrying on. Nobody heard nothing. And so Bob and Eugene decided to ride back to Branford and pick up another tent and everything. And so they started back. You know, they know that Kim and Mike would be there a little later in the day, so they're trying to get everybody up and get where everybody'd be, have a place to sleep. They got back to the camp, and they was already there. And everybody hopped together and was getting the tent set up and talking about what had happened. Nobody could figure out what was going on. They got moved down away from camp trying to find what had happened, footprints. Couldn't find none. Everything. They all got out there after dark. Then on the 31st, about 10 o'clock, started shooting fireworks about 10:30. That far out, there wasn't no lights or no perfectly dark, no lights nowhere around. Beautiful sky. Right on the edge of the swamp, they're shooting them out into the swamp. So they wasn't really worried about catching anything on fire. It went on. Everybody got done shooting fireworks, and they all decided to go on to bed. So everybody got their sleeping quarters. About 1:30 in the morning, they all heard Mag scream. And Bob hollered, "Well, y'all got us good. Y'all got us good." And the trailer had been shaking violently, and it quit. And they couldn't figure out. And the boys hollered, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" You know, trying to figure out what was wrong, trying to figure it out. Mike and Kim was hollering. Bob said, "Y'all got us good, but we go back to sleep now." About that time, something started scooting the trailer. And by that time, Bob started hollering. And they said, "We're coming, we're coming." everybody came piling out of the tents and running towards where the camper was, and got over there and got Bob and Mag out. And the camper, they said, had been scooped about 7 or 8 feet. And you could see the scoop marks. Even when we got there, they showed them to us. You could see the scoop marks where the trailer had been scooted. And but nobody's seen that. So that morning, everybody is up the rest of the night. Next morning, there's cooking. All the men was talking, looking, and couldn't find no prints where that trailer was sitting in that dusty soil. They couldn't find no prints. So they decided to drive back into Branford, try to ask around to see if they could find out anything. They found a mom and pop sport goods store. And Mag and Bob and Henry had went back into town along with Eugene. That was before that went, and had left the other 3 back at the camp. And they told them what had happened to the tent. And then they told them what happened to the trailer. And told them where they was at. And they told them that 18 years earlier, or something like that, that a gas crew lost 9 men to something there in the swamp before they could get that line to that cutoff where they joined there in that turnaround, ran and fixed. Said they never found none of them. Said there'd be 3 or 4 men there. They'd had a trailer there. Trucks would be there. No men, no workers. Said they tried to track them down at home. Nobody had been at their home. You know, just no sign of them. So they figured they was lost to the swamp. But they never did find them. So they finally got it finished. And he said, that's a bad place. He said, he was an Indian that owned the store, so they kind of thought he was just putting them on, you know. But while they was there, Eugene's a gun collector. And he seen a gun in there he wanted. It was a M1917 30-06. And he seen it and he wanted it. And he purchased it. He said, this will be big enough. And Bob also seen one, and he purchased a Mossberg 30-06, just cheap gun. And the 2 of them went together and bought 500 rounds, 30-06 ammunition. Old cheap Army ammunition. Like you buy no Army boxes. And they split the cost of it. And they said, well, this will take care of any problem we have left. And they still had, they'd planned on staying till the 4th. And they had, purchased it, headed back, got back out there. Everybody was there and they was cooking. They told them the story and they kind of chuckled. Kim said they're just trying to scare everybody off. Mag was the only one that took them serious. Well, they all carried pistols, so they all walking around now carrying guns. Both the girls had pistols. The guys was carrying pistols. Everybody's walking around carrying pistols. And they get ready for bed. Mike breaks out a 308 Winchester that he's brought. Right at dusky dark, decides to sight it in. Now he can't see the target, so he takes a lantern, Coleman lantern or something, they said, and takes it down there and hangs it above the target about 40 yards from the camp. Hangs it up, puts up target, shoots it with deer rifles right on sight. He shoots it three or four rounds. So the other guys break out theirs. They shoot them a few times each, getting used to them, everything. All of a sudden, after they set the rifles down, they moved away from the camp right next to one fire that everybody's gathered around, and Mag says, well, somebody, we need to get the lantern. And they look up, and the lantern's going through the swamp. Something's running with it, and it's screaming. And the guys run back to get the rifle, turn around, and by then they say it's too far to shoot at. And all of a sudden they see it thrown up in the air. Hear this thing scream again, screech. Seen the thing, the lantern flying through the air and landed in the brush out in the swamp. And Eugene and Henry go out there to get it back. Go out there and it's broke, from the fall and everything. By the end of the night, by about 10:30 that night, they decided to stand guard. People stand guard during the night, where there's always somebody awake now, and they don't want nobody to be off for more than a 2-hour shift. So they want like from 10 to 12, and 12 to 2, and 2 to 4, and 4 to 6. And so they draw straws on how it's going to be. Maggie draws the first watch. Then they draw, see who gets others and all. And everybody's doing their thing. Nothing happens the rest of the night. Goes on first, rest of that day. Nothing happens, and they all walking around trying to find tracks, and they can't seem to find any tracks nowhere. They're all thinking they spent a lot of money on guns for nothing. Everything. 2nd January rolls around here. There's still nothing's happened. Just nothing going on. Nobody coming around. The only person that still believes in that is Maggie. They sitting around the night of the 2nd, going into the morning of the 3rd, and they starting to talk about when they're gonna leave. If everybody's gonna leave on the same day, same time. Trying to think about being secured a little bit. And they said that worked for everybody, and everybody, like I said, was on the floor. And it was about 10:30. They all just decided that, that after that ate, that there wasn't no sense in people staying up all night. Nothing had happened the night before. And evidently, whatever it was that got burned by that lantern or whatever. They didn't figure it'd be back. So they talking their plans out about the 4th. Mag's arguing with them about she thinks that everybody needs to pull their shifts just like they planned and suck it up. Do their guard duty like they planned. And finally, her daughter talks her into giving in. Off to bed, everybody goes. Henry's got this bad snoring problem. And they said that it wasn't 15 minutes. Henry was snoring loud. You could hear him in the trailer. You could hear him in both the tents. It's now about 25, 30 feet apart, right next to the trailer, so everybody could hear what everybody was doing. So, it was like that. And said not Bob, but Maggie's laying in there in the trailer looking out. And she kept saying that she was seeing movement at the edge of the firelight. Oh, Bob. And Bob, what the sleep hit, he put it off as an overactive imagination. And Mag just couldn't shake this feeling that her eyes wasn't playing tricks on me, that her unease kept her awake, and Henry's snoring going on was keeping her awake. Finally, her age caught up to her, looking out the window, not seeing anything else. She said, one final look at the clock, 2:12. She was off to sleep. Sometime after that, I'm not sure exactly what time, Henry, who this account comes from, said there was a scream. Sounded pretty far out to the east of the camp. And woke him up. One of his other brothers woke up at the same time. And about the same time, Mark spoke out of the other tent and asked if anybody else heard that. And Kim was awake too. And, everybody started speaking back and forth there for about the next 2 minutes, letting everybody know that they was awake and they could hear it. The screams was getting closer and closer. And you could tell that they was just closing in, like it was coming just right towards that camp. Finally, it sounded like they was just beyond the light. Now, everybody climbed out of the tents and got up underneath the awning on the campus. And they was whispering at what to do. And they didn't know what to do. And nobody was coming up with no ideas. And Mag said, well, let's scare them off. Somebody said, Henry said, hi. Said, well, this is what we're going to do. Said, we're all going to line up in a line. We're going to move forward. You guys with the gun. And Henry, you with the pistol. The 3 guys with the rifles. And Henry, you being the best shot with a pistol, y'all three don't shoot. The rest of us is going to go out there, and y'all beside us, and we're just going to shoot blindly into the dark, see if we're scared off, and see what it thinks. So they all start walking out through there, and as they get closer and closer to the edge of where the lights dimmed, the howling and the screams from these creatures stopped, and it turned into a growl. And it seemed to center in one place. And as they was doing this, it bone chilling. It was just white. It's all get out. As Eugene said today, or at the last updated time that he was talked to was in 2016, that it still gives him a bone chilling effect. That gives nightmares still. That they all stopped and they let loose with a small arms fire, not knowing if they were hitting anything or not. They stopped now, and silence is all around them, and no movement. Everyone is looking, but nothing. Nothing. And Mag laughs loud and said, "See, I told you so." They all turn to Kim and start to walk to the trailer. But Kim spotted what we think was an eyeball that was either shot out of socket or when they were fighting among themselves on the ground, and she sees the color and started moving toward it. Exactly what happened next is almost a blur. The Dogman came from every direction, taking out each person. Bob lost both legs, but lived. Mag suffered scrapes and bruises, but was never right in her mind again. Mark lost his right arm below his elbow, in his right ear, and his hearing. Kim, all that we found was her ankles, only death at the time of the attack. Henry was a big man, which helped save him, I believe. 70 plus staples in his rib cage area on his right side. Eugene today has had 16 face surgeries, lost his sight, and has to eat through a feeding tube, plus no longer can speak. Frank had multiple broke bones, bruises, and scrapes. Observation: the three men with the long guns suffered more severe injuries than those without. They were found by locals on the 4th. We arrived on the 5th. 3 of us. Colonel Dorsett, commander, was in charge. Agent Johnson, myself, gunner, second in command. If something happened, and Agent Cagle, look, this was to be his first hunt in his shape at the time. When we arrived, it was 5th of January, 10 a.m., when we drove from Bramford to the scene. And after the initial chit-chat, I was sent to talk with the family and the brothers. And this is where all this information came from. It's two of the brothers. No one ever, after their injuries, healed, chose to make a statement. So by the time I arrived back to the scene on the 6th, vehicles were gone. The place looked like no one had ever been there. The deputy opened his trunk and I took into Florida Highway Patrol, walked up as I was putting my pack on, and asked how I would find my partner. And I said I would track them. He laughed and said in a swamp, I said, I will be on their trail before I get outside for 10 minutes. I know for a fact they were both here yesterday. He said, I watched them leave. I know what direction they headed, he said. I said, well, you can make it easy for me then. And he wasn't willing to do that. He said he had $20 he was willing to bet I couldn't be on the trail in 10 minutes or before I got outside. And I said, well, I handed him my 20 and told him not to spend it. I'd be back for it along with it, jokingly. I walked around the turnaround area and then started into the swamp. I heard the trooper say, that son of a bitch. I hollered back, not getting my money or his. By nightfall, I caught up with the colonel and the age of Cagle. And one look at Cagle told me that they had already made contact. Colonel told Cagle to go on bed now that I was here and he was able to go to sleep now. I'd be there to stay up and watch so they could both rest now. And I was used to staying up nights, long hours, and all like that. And it wasn't 10 minutes to Major Cagle was asleep. It was Cagle's first time. And it was after a matter of just minutes, he was trying to sleep. And Colonel told me after he went to sleep what had happened. I was there basically just get out of the office along for the ride. But he told me I was glad I was there. Anyway, he went on. He was doing good, actually. Caught a sign on the walking trail. He said he was doing good. And he caught a sign on the walking trail, and he was on it like a coon dog. When we got into some black water, waist deep, he said he started questioning about his training and his preparedness. The colonel replied back that he was ready or he wouldn't be there. And Cagle said, are you sure I'm ready? And he said, yeah, you're ready now. And he was asking about the bubble that they seen moving a couple or 3 times off to the sides of them. And the colonel, not knowing for sure, gave honest answer. That's how he needed to be. And said it was probably alligator or snapping turtle. And Cagle said he felt relieved knowing this. The colonel just shook his head and smiled to himself. Thinking about this. He'd rather face an alligator underwater than face a monster. He was about 7 foot behind Cagle and maybe 2 foot off center and on Cagle's left shoulder. And Cagle started pointing towards shoreline, and he was trying to show immediate danger. What did he see? And the colonel couldn't see it. And the colonel was looking in front of Cagle, 5 foot in front of him, and there was bubbles coming up 5 foot in front of him. But Cagle was twisting his body further out of position, more towards the shore, and getting more twisted to where he couldn't get a shot at the bubble, where the colonel couldn't get a shot at the bubble, not realizing there was danger in the water, and he was still looking at the shore 25 to 30 yards away. Finally, all of a sudden, towards the shore, just to click, see if he sees anything at all that he could worry about. And then it raised up out of the water. It came up out of the blackish water. And Cagle heard the water drifting off. And it was a Dogman. And it had been underwater.
Victor.
He turned.
Victor, really quick, Victor. We're gonna have to stop right there because I'm all out of recording time. So as of right now, guys, we will get part 2 of this encounter out to you guys hopefully tomorrow night if you're available tomorrow night.
I should be.
Okay. Or if I can get this processed, I can give you a holler back, or I'll, get a message to you, and we can finish it tonight if I can get this processed fast enough. How's that sound?
How long does it take to process?
About an hour.
Time I get a shower.
Yeah.
Start processing.
All right, guys, we're going to end it right here, and hopefully I can get this done so we can get it up another part 2 to you guys a little bit later. Victor, say goodbye to everybody really quick.
Bye, everybody.
All right, everybody, it was great to hear him again. Tomorrow I will get in touch with him probably first thing in the morning and get the rest of this hunt out to you guys. A little bit more of an explanation on what has been going on. I just wanted to get this out to you guys. Thank you and good night.